Toronto condo market outlook for 2023. Let's talk about it. There's been an ongoing theme of people talking about how there is no inventory to choose from. I talk about it all the time. A lot of people talking about why housing prices have gone up, are pouring towards inventory. But I want to share something very interesting with you before we get specifically into the condo market. Now, in 2021, we had a record number of transactions. Average price was as high as it's ever been as well, but just the amount of properties that sold was a record high, not just in Toronto, but all across Canada and frankly, North America. But what's interesting is if you think back to 2021, what was everybody saying? There's 10 offers on everything. This is crazy. There's nothing to choose from. Well, how was there nothing to choose from when the most amount of properties ever in a single year sold? What I think it comes down to is that even though fundamentally we're obviously in a seller's market during that time frame, we didn't just have low inventory, we had fast inventory. The inventory was disappearing off the market because the demand side was just so extreme. Now let's fast forward to today. So we're in 2023. We're looking at the condo market. Right now, there's still not a ton on the market. And we've already had clients kind of say, hey, there's nothing to see right now. When do you think the listings are actually going to come out? But we're on the flip side of things. So fundamentally right now in the condo market in Toronto, we're more of like a balanced market right now, but it's slow inventory. Not a lot to choose from, but it's also sitting on the market because the buyer side demand is lower than it previously was. Now, obviously, this is all going to come back to interest rates. But on today's video, what I want to talk to you about is the Toronto condo market outlook for 2023. We're going to talk about different price segments of what's going to be active and what's probably going to slow down and what you would need to know if you're going to be a buyer or a seller. We're also going to discuss the rental market side of things. Where's the rental market going to go this year? Because it was crazy in 2022, the increases we saw 15 to 20% across the board. And the off-market market, if that makes any sense, assignment sales. People that bought properties pre-construction in 2018, 2019, 2020, even though I've been yelling at you guys not to do that because the prices didn't make sense for a long time, what's going to happen when all those come to the market? Because there's a lot of condos coming to the market in 2023. That was maybe my longest intro ever. Welcome back to the channel. My name is Tom Storey. I appreciate you being here. If you like this content, give me a thumbs up. That would be awesome. And join our growing community. We're on the road to 10,000 subscribers. And I'm actually thinking we're going to do a pretty cool giveaway for 10,000. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel, and you'll see what I mean in the next few videos. If you're thinking of getting into the condo market or maybe getting out of the condo market for whatever reason, you can go to the first link in the description. You can book a buyer call, a seller call, or discovery call to chat with me about what's really happening. So I want to start by just talking about how important the condo market is for the overall market, specifically here in the city of Toronto. So what we're looking at right now is a summary page of all the properties that sold in the city of Toronto basically last year in 2022. Now, if you go over here, condo apartments were 14,000 sales, which represented about 53% of all the properties sold. Then you add in condo townhouses at 7%. You add those up, 60% of the 416 area code of the city of Toronto was a condo sale. So when one asset class represents over 50% of the market, specifically right now, 60% of the market, and especially with condos, right? For the most part, you can buy luxury condos, you can buy investment condos, but they're also the entry-level point for a lot of people looking to buy their first property. You know, my personal opinion here in 2023, if we're looking at outlook on prices for condos, I don't think much is going to change. There's not going to be a massive uptick. We could see a little bit more of a drop off here, all depending on the interest rate hikes, but they are going to impact the amount of sales we have and the inventory level. So if 60% of the market last year, the sales in the city of Toronto were condos, that's just telling us that inventory level wise, there's going to be more condos to choose from comparative to semi-detached, detached, or townhouse properties. But that's just condos that already existed. What about these new condos? Because we've now set a record. And there's an article right now going around by the Globe and Mail, which I'm going to share with you here, which basically talks about how we're going to have a record number of condos flood to the market in 2023. Now, there's a few main points I want to look over here. A record number of new condo units will be completed in Toronto in 2023, just as skyrocketing mortgage rates make it harder for investors to close on these properties. Nearly 32,000 condos will hit the city and surrounding suburbs, according to data from Urban Nation. They probably do the best job in terms of data for off-market properties, so I would highly recommend checking out their monthly newsletter. That surpasses the previous high in 2020 of 22,000. So the previous high was 22,000. We have 10,000 more units this year going to be registered coming to the market. And I think people's initial reaction to a headline like that and the numbers like that is like, oh, the condo market's going to fall off this year because we have so much supply coming. Interest rates are all the way up and the demand wasn't really there into the back half of last year anyways. And I agree with you, but I want to make a point. So typically, these condos were sold to investors. Yep, we can have our discussions on if that's even a thing that should happen or not happen. I'll leave that up to you. But that's just the reality. What are these investors going to do with these condos when they're registered? They're going to put them up for lease. Now, if we backtrack to last year, we saw crazy rental numbers. Rental prices are the highest they've ever been. I honestly think we can say we were in a rental crisis last year with the prices that people were paying to live here in the city of Toronto. So I think in the rental market side of things, this is going to be fantastic. Bringing 32,000 new units to the market this year. That's going to be great. Now, are some of these obviously going to go to the sale market? Yes. But I will tell you, the ones that go to the sale market are going to be the investors that bought these 3, 4, 5 years ago at probably, anywhere from $1,100 to $1,400 a square foot. They're not worth that today. Or they're worth exactly what they paid when they bought them in most scenarios. So unless that investor is willing to take a loss right away, I don't think a lot of these properties are going to come to the sale market this year, especially with the new speculation tax where you have to hold your property for a year. So it's going to bring an influx to the rental market, which will slow down the rental market, which is probably a good thing because the price acceleration we saw last year was a little bit out of control. Now, where this gets a little bit more complicated, and there's no concrete data on this, is how many people bought a new construction condo at some point in the last 4 years, thinking that rates were not going to do what they did today. And they're getting closer and closer to the completion of that condo, and they're on the hook for their final 5 or 10% down payment. But the property is certainly not worth what they paid for it a few years ago because they paid a premium when they bought it off the builder. That's just the reality of how that situation works. Can they close on it? I can tell you right now, behind the scenes, because this is not on MLS, there is a ton of condo assignments for sale right now. And buyers are out there, but they're looking for deals. They're looking to take advantage of people, which I guess you can say is totally fine because it was the flip side for a long, long time. So we're going to see how many people can close. And if you can't close, it's going to put a lot of people in tough situations. We're going to have to see how this plays out. But that's a story here that not a lot of people are actually talking about, but it could be actually the main issue I see in the condo market moving forward. I still personally think on the resale side of things for good quality buildings, yeah, they're going to sell. I've got a few condo listings on the market right now. We've got a few more coming out in the next few weeks, and I anticipate all of them are going to sell. Are they going to take longer? Of course they're going to take longer. They're going to take 25, 35 days to sell. It's not like things are selling in a week anymore. That takes me to the final chart I want to look over with you in this video. So let's pull it up here. So what we're looking at here is the sales snapshot for all the condo apartments that sold in Toronto in basically the last 12 months. So we had 14,000 sell on the MLS system. Here's where it's most interesting to me. What price ranges were actually moving? So what we can actually do here is make this a table. So what we're taking a look here is that 600 to 699 range represented 3,700 sales. Now keep in mind, this is a 416 area code of Toronto. This is not GTA. 5 to 599, 2,400 sales. 7 to 799, 3,000 sales. So you see the biggest cluster of condos selling is anywhere from $500,000 to $800,000. Makes a ton of sense because of the affordability factor. If we go all the way up here, over $1 million, from $1 million to 1,249, just under 1,000 properties sold. When we go even higher, over 2 million, that only represented 204 sales last year. So condo sales are certainly happening, but most of them, the bulk of them, are happening from 500,000 and some under, but mostly bachelor units, up to basically 799, 800. And then the amount of demand as you go up from there is just going to fall off because when you're getting to that $1 million threshold, you might just think, well, why don't I just buy a townhouse? Why don't I just buy a semi-detached property? So how's the condo market going to play out in 2023? Well, I guess we'll have to see. I still think long-term, if you just look at the city of Toronto, you want to buy real estate in the city of Toronto, condos still are the most affordable option. We now have to make sure people can afford them with the interest rates going up. Condo sales will continue to happen, but they're not going to be at the prices that they were previously. But they're also the asset class that decreased the least since the rates started going up. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out this year. Thanks so much for watching this video. My name's Tom, and remember, home is where your story begins.